Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Mr. Johnston, we've found a clue. Henry was seen in Roker Estate, and we're currently tracing his whereabouts. Good. Don't startle him, and be sure to bring him back right after you found him, Jared ordered. Yes, sir. Max immediately ran up to Jared when he saw him walking to the lobby. Mr. Johnston. Take me home. Jared glanced back at the room with the suffocating presence and decided not to return. Besides, there was a vixen waiting for him in there. Yes, sir. Max did not dally and drove Jared back to his mansion. Fiorella waited in the room for a long time, but Jared was nowhere to be seen. After some time, she walked out to look for Jared and stopped a staff who was passing by. Have you seen Mr. Johnston? He went to the lobby moments ago. Fiorella made a beeline for the lobby. She thought Jared had gone to answer the call in the lobby because the room was too noisy. However, even in the lobby, he was still nowhere to be seen. Fiorella went to the receptionist and asked, "Have you seen Mr. Johnston?" He left shortly after answering a call, the receptionist relayed. Fiorella stomped her foot on the ground. What sort of twisted coincidence is this? Why did that person call right when we were about to dance? Keep the wine in the room. I'm leaving now, Fiorella ordered the receptionists. Sure. Goodbye, Miss Fisher. In the car, Max looked at Jared in the rear-view mirror and asked, Mr. Johnston, Miss Fisher seems different today. You noticed it too? Jared turned to Max. It's painfully obvious. Max said in an awkward tone of voice. You're not to tell Nicole a word about whatever that has happened tonight. If you do, you're fired, Jared said in a deep voice. Max took a solemn look and responded, Yes, sir. Soon after, they arrived at mansion and Jared entered his house alone. Jared went into his study and continued working after turning his computer on. It was then that he saw the picture of him and Nicole on his desk, whereupon he picked it up to have a look before returning to his work. Nicole was locked in a discussion with her team members in her office. Even after countless trials, they were still unable to produce the 4-nanometer chip. Nicole, I think you should give up already. You can already manufacture the chips using the 5-nanometer technology, so why must you use the 4-nanometer technology? Harvey said, looking at the problem from a businessman's perspective, in which as long as the chip was marketable and profitable, he would accept it, even if it was a 5-nanometer chip. You won't get it. If the 4-nanometer chip is a success, it'll bring us a lot of benefits, Nicole explained as she looked at Harvey, who looked as confused as ever. I understand where you're coming from, but we can't develop it now, can we? I think we can produce a batch of 5-nanometer chips and sell them. As for the 4-nanometer chips, we can still take our time and research on it, Harvey reasoned to the best of his abilities. He believed that Nicole would be able to produce the 4-nanometer chip in the near future, but they just did not have the time now. I think Mr. Ellison is right. Why don't you join us and develop the chip together, Ms. Riddle? Ike appeared out of nowhere upon overhearing Harvey's remark. When have the both of you become so united? Nicole looked at them, her forehead creased. Great minds think alike. Harvey looked at Nicole confidently. TSK, great minds my foot. Do you even know how to spell that? Nicole mocked. Look, I get what you're saying, but I am just not giving up. After the streak of failures in the past few days, I've already figured something out. Give us one more week, and we'll be done. Nicole looked at them seriously. I don't mind, but you should ask your team members and see if they're still willing to continue their research with you. Harvey looked at the people seated in the office. Nicole looked at them without saying a word. I'm fine with it, one of the men said. Me too, another echoed. We're right here with you, the others added. A gratified look grew on Nicole's face. Thank you for the support and the faith you have in me. Let's work on it for another. If we fail this too, we'll be merging with the 5-nanometer chip team. Okay. Ike clapped as he stood behind her. He was hesitant at that moment. He wanted Nicole to succeed, but at the same time, he wished she would fail. What brought you here, Ike? Nicole asked. We're facing a problem over there, so we'll be needing your help, Ike replied. Keep going, team. Nicole then walked out with Ike. Let's go. Ms. Riddle, there seems to be some error in the data here. We can't proceed anymore, one of the researchers explained. Nicole sat down and took a look. The numbers don't tally. Someone changed it, didn't they? Yeah, we made some alterations based on what we needed, the researcher replied. Initially, everything was going smoothly, but it doesn't seem to be working now. It's probably just a minor issue. Nicole thought hard and began working with her hands all over the keyboard and the mouse. After half an hour of amending, replacing, and linking, she corrected the errors, allowing them to proceed with their work again. It's done. Nicole stood up. Thank you, Ms. Riddle. You're amazing. Are you on the simulation stage now? Nicole asked while she stared at the screen. Yeah. The 5-nanometer technology has been here for some time, so we just need to work on your design and incorporate it into the simulation. If everything goes well after that, we can start with the production already, Ike explained. You're quick. Good job. If that's all, I'm heading back now. Nicole glanced at Ike and left. After she had returned to her team, she looked at the members who were in the midst of researching the 4-nanometer technology and lamented, life's tough for those who are doing things that have never been done before. After relaxing for a short while, Nicole regained her energy and returned to focusing on her research once again. Concurrently, Harvey had been taking mental notes of Nicole's efforts these days. He did not understand why she was trying so hard. She could have just used the tried-and-true method of creating a brilliant chip, so why is she so adamant on venturing into something she is totally unfamiliar with? What a waste of time. Though he could not understand her, he was still willing to give it a shot with her. 2 days later, Nicole was keeping up with the local news in the afternoon, just as usual. Even though she was not in her country, she was still concerned about the events and developments back home. Harvey spotted Nicole scrolling through her phone while she was eating, and so he said, "It won't be easy for the food to go down if you're going to eat like that." Nicole looked up at him. "Where did you get that from? You definitely made that up, didn't you? If you have time to waste, please spend it reading the news and keeping track of things that are of value. You should stay away from hogwash like that. You're not old enough to be blabbering like that just yet." Nicole finished and continued scrolling through her phone. Harvey lost his appetite as Nicole had dissed him. He was just looking out for her, and yet his courtesy was repaid with a jibe. As she was swiping, a piece of news caught her attention. It was then that she placed her utensils down and became engrossed in the article. Harvey noticed that she had stopped eating and had placed all of her attention on the news. In response, he shook his head in total helplessness and jeered, "You're so concerned the happenings in our country that you don't even bother to eat anymore." Harvey stared at Nicole, and upon noticing that the expression on her face was something other than the usual, he asked, "What is wrong with you? Don't tell me it's another headline." Nicole suddenly stood up and walked out while holding her phone in hand. Seeing this, Harvey and Kelly were stunned, and they quickly chased after her. "Ms. Riddle, where are you going?" Kelly asked. "Nicole, what is going on?" Harvey asked as he was running after her. "See for yourself." Nicole passed her phone to Harvey. "Kelly, quickly book a flight ticket home for me. I want the earliest flight possible." Nicole ordered. "Noted." A baffled Kelly took her phone out to book Nicole the ticket. A fire broke out at the Beacon Company's factory with 8 injured. Harvey read out in disbelief. Hearing Harvey's words, Kelly looked at him in shock. "What did you say? The factory is on fire." "That's what the news reported." Harvey looked at Kelly, unsmiling. "Ms. Riddle, do I book tickets for 3? Kelly asked Nicole. "Just book mine." "That won't do. We're coming with you," Harvey told Nicole in a solemn tone of voice. "That's right. Ms. Riddle. I wish to go and check it out as well," Kelly said, nervous. "The both of you won't be of much help back there. It's better for all of you to stay here and help. I'll go back and see if it's serious. If it's not, I'll be back soon." Nicole walked into the car as soon as she was done explaining. Okay then. Kelly gave Nicole a look of disappointment. I'll send you off. Harvey sat in the passenger seat. Nicole shot him a glance. Then, she floored the accelerator and made her way to the airport. As they pulled up to the parking lot, Nicole looked at Harvey and said, "You don't have to usher me in." "All right, we'll be here awaiting your return." Harvey stared at Nicole intently. "Okay. When I'm not around, try to help them as much as possible," Nicole ordered, knowing what Harvey was capable of, and that he was just lazy. "Don't worry about it. Don't get yourself into trouble while you're there," Harvey warned. "Bye now." Nicole closed the car door and walked into the airport. Just as she took her boarding pass, Nicole heard her name being announced. "Calling for Ms. Nicole Riddle, booked on flight CZ3262. Your flight is ready to leave. Please make your way to gate 15 immediately for boarding." Nicole rushed to the gate, went through the security checks, and boarded the plane. Fortunately for her, she was quick on her feet, or else she would have to wait for the next flight. At the parking lot, Harvey gazed up at the sky and stared at the plane that just took off. He knew that Nicole was in there. After the airplane had receded from his view, he turned the car around and drove off. Back at the lab, Kelly asked Harvey, "Mr. Harvey, has Ms. Riddle boarded the plane yet?" "Yes, she has taken flight now." "Don't worry, the situation back home might not be as serious as described in the news." Harvey comforted Kelly, who seemed depressed. "Yeah, hopefully Mr. Wyance and the rest are all safe and sound," Kelly said, and proceeded to pray. The factory was filled with smoke. Jared, who was there, rushed in and stared at the production site for the beacon. About half of the factory had been burned to ashes, and the ground was covered in soot and cinders. Some of the employees were performing emergency rescue procedures on those who were injured, and others were salvaging the products. "Where is Martin?" Jared grabbed a hold of a worker and asked. "Mr. Wyance is inside." The worker pointed at a part of the factory that had been completely destroyed. Jared's eyes froze for a moment and a nightmarish thought flitted across his mind. Then, he made his way into the factory. "Sir, you can't go in there." Max attempted to stop Jared as he was worried that the latter would get injured. "Get away from me," Jared bellowed. "Sir, it's too dangerous inside. You can't go in." Max persisted. Jared shoved Max away and made a beeline for the factory. Clouds of smoke were rising up into the air in the factory as Jared searched for Martin. From time to time, workers would hurry past him as they moved the beacons which they had salvaged from what was left of the factory. "Martin!" Jared shouted. Martin was concealed behind curtains of smoke, attempting to save any usable products from the ashes. When he heard someone calling his name, he spun around to see who it was. With the aid of his gut feeling, he made a guess and shouted, "Mr. Jared, is that you?" "It's me," Jared yelled. "Where are you?" Everyone inside was covered with soot, and as such, Jared could not discern which one of them was Martin. "Don't come in here. It's too dangerous," Martin bellowed, stopping Jared from moving forward. After a while, Martin took some of the beacons with him and approached Jared. "Mr. Johnston, let's talk outside." Jared squinted and stared at all of the people in front of him. He could not tell if the person in front of him was Martin or not. Once they were out of the factory, Martin passed the goods he had managed to salvage to the others. Then, he turned toward Jared. "Mr. Johnston, it's too dangerous. You can't stay here." Martin yelled, attempting to dissuade him from staying here. "Has the fire been put off completely?" asked Jared. "Yes, and we're all salvaging the products now." "Are there a lot of products left inside?" "Yes, there are plenty," Martin replied. "The people can salvage some of it." Jared looked at him. "It's better for you to stay outside. My men will be coming over soon." "No, Mr. Johnston," Martin argued. "We need all the help we can get, and the more hands we've got, the more we'll be able to salvage." Deep down, Martin treasured these products. They were the product of his blood, sweat and tears, after all. "Mr. Johnston, You should head back for now. I'll find you and explain everything after I'm done here, Martin said, after which he left Jared and made his way back into the decimated structure. Jared felt helpless as he stared at Martin dashing back into the factory. Martin is the driving force of this factory. His safety should be of utmost importance during moments such as these. Max, are they here? Jared asked in a panic. They're here, sir. Tell them to go in and salvage the products. And please, get them to drag Martin out of there. Jared ordered solemnly. What if Mr. Wyance doesn't want to come out with us? Then carry him out by force if you have to. Understood. Max hurried into the factory as well. Jared stood outside and waited anxiously. Whenever someone came out from the factory, he would look over and check them out. Ms., there's a fire at your destination. I'd advise you not to go there, the cab driver kindly reminded. Sir, please just hurry up. Nicole ordered, as she was already panicking in the car and was not in the mood to deal with any of it. Soon after, the cab stopped at the entrance gate of the factory, with Nicole getting out of the car and running inside at once. Ms., you haven't paid for your fare, the driver shouted. However, Nicole did not hear him at all, and before he knew it, she was out of his sight already. Jared, what is the current condition inside? Nicole ran up behind him and asked. Nicole? What are you doing here? Jared looked at Nicole in shock. He did not expect her to receive the news so soon. In fact, he was planning to hide this news from her. I rushed here immediately after I saw the news article, Nicole replied. Where's Martin? She questioned. He's in there, he answered. What is he doing in there? Don't tell me. Nicole looked at Jared, her eyes widened and her face as pale as sheet. Her reaction was quickly followed by a sigh of relief. Fortunately, things did not turn out the way she had imagined. I'll head inside and check things out. Jared quickly grabbed onto her arm and looked at her sternly. You can't go in. Why? Haven't they extinguished the fire already? Nicole asked Jared in confusion. Although they've extinguished it completely, there are still a lot of risks that we aren't aware of in there. I've checked it out moments ago, and the whole place is still filled with smoke. It's very dangerous for you to enter without a mask, Jared explained to Nicole in haste. Hearing Jared's explanation, Nicole could only stare at the burned factory helplessly as she panicked. Why didn't you stop Martin then? How could you let him enter when it's already so dangerous in there? Nicole began to blame Jared. How sure are you that I did not stop him? I've tried, but he was really stubborn about it. No one could stop him. Jared eyed her with a grimace. Why is she blaming me now? He thought. It was then that Max dragged Martin behind him as he came out from the factory. Max, how are things in there? Have you seen Martin? Nicole asked in a hurry. Nicole? Martin yelled. Why is she back here too? Nicole came to realize that the person Max was dragging behind him was Martin after hearing his voice. Martin's face was covered in soot at that moment. He looked so haggard and filthy that it was hard for anyone to recognize him. Martin? Nicole asked. Are you okay? Seeing that Martin had walked out safely, Nicole felt a lot calmer. Martin looked at her and was caught off guard by her kindness. He never thought that Nicole would rush all the way back here for him. I am fine. It's just the products. Martin gave her a look of guilt as he had a tough time putting his misery in words. Nicole looked back at him. We're in the midst of a disaster, and yet the only thing he's worried about is the products? It really pisses me off, seeing him risking his own life to protect the place the way he did. Nicole could not help it anymore, and so, she lifted her hands and gave him a smack. Ah! Martin squealed out of pain, after which he looked up in shock as he did not understand why Nicole had struck him. The only response he got from Nicole was a glare. You're such a damn fool. The products can be remade again. But if something were to happen to you, we would be in deep shit. It was only then that Martin came back to his senses. That's right. I am the core of this entire project. A sudden sense of shame and guilt flooded him as he did not realize how important he was, and how much Nicole cared about him. I was just acting rashly according to the situation. I'm sorry. Martin lowered his head and was at a loss for words. Looking at the way Martin was blaming himself, Nicole felt that she should stop ripping into him. Then, she turned to Max and said, "Bring him to the hospital for a checkup. Call me the second you receive any updates." But the situation here. Max looked at Jared helplessly as the situation here was still a mess. "Go ahead, I'll take care of things here." Jared glanced at him and gave him some assurance. It was only then that Max gave him a firm nod. "All right, I'll drive him to the hospital now." Martin looked at Jared, grateful for what he had done. Recalling that Jared had gone in to search for him while the fire was still burning, Martin was overcome with a sense of gratitude. "Mr. Johnston, thank you for going in and looking for me. Please take care of the situation here." Jared nodded lightly as a way of telling him not to worry. It was then that Nicole suddenly remembered what Martin had said about Jared entering the factory. The flames, which had initially been extinguished, was raging once more. After Martin and Max had left, Nicole shot Jared a glare. "All of you are the same. Why can't the both of you give me some peace of mind for once? It's bad enough that I had to deal with a fool like Martin. Why did you rush into the fire as well?" Jared shot her a glance with her eyebrows raised. "Oh, so you're worried about my safety now? I don't think I can tell if he was the only person you were worried about moments ago." Noticing signs of jealousy, Nicole issued a sigh. "Moments ago, I was panicking and worried that something might have happened to Martin, and that was why I wasn't paying attention to what you were saying." As Jared recalled the way Nicole had scolded him for not pulling Martin out of the factory, he felt that she had wronged her. "Now that you know, I wasn't the one who did not try to bring him out of the fire, was I?" Jared looked at her with a frown. "I went in just to look for Martin, but he was as stubborn as a mule." Nicole nodded. "Yeah. But please. Next time, I don't want you risking your own life too." She just wished that Jared would drag Martin out, not put himself in danger too. Seeing that Nicole was sincerely worried about him, Jared smiled and extended his arms to give her a hug. "All right, I get it, but you better focus on the factory now and think about ways to help us recover. There are a lot of things that require our decisions." Jared's reminder alerted her once more. As she witnessed the situation at the factory and how messy it was, she issued a sigh. The road to success is really filled with hardships, she thought. Now that half of the factory had been burned to ashes, rebuilding will take a really long time to complete. "We can only wait for it to be rebuilt," she said. "In the meantime, let's just take a breather." Jared saw her through and understood that she was trying to stifle her anger. Knowing this, he comforted her by saying, "Don't worry, I'll get a crew together to rebuild it again. I'll make sure that they try their best to do it as soon as possible." Nicole felt relieved, but in less than a second, her eyes narrowed again. Then, she turned to Jared and asked, "But, have you discovered the cause behind this fire? Is it really an accident?" Jared's eyes grew dark as well. "My men are on the ground collecting clues now. However, I don't believe that it's just an accident, especially when we have someone as careful as Martin around." Nicole remained silent. As a way of acknowledging what he had said, she let out a cold sneer. "I don't care who this person is. Since he has decided to screw with me, I won't let him get away with it." It was then that Jared registered a hint of brutality on Nicole, something that he had not seen in her for a while now. The person who had decided to mess with her better pray hard for his own life. In the blink of an eye, nightfall descended upon them. Nicole stayed on site and made sure that the workers had relocated all of the salvaged products and machineries. After everything had been organized, she proceeded to return to the villa with Jared, and the moment they arrived, Nicole made a beeline for the bathroom and took a shower. When she came out, Jared had already changed into his casual lounge wear and was waiting for her, staring at her with nothing but affection as she walked out with a towel wrapped around her figure. He had not seen her for days, and his longing for her was a torment. As he eyed her soft and supple skin, he could not help but step forward and help her put on a bathrobe. Nicole began to feel shy when she noticed that Jared was approaching her. Fortunately, He was only there to help her put on the bathrobe and was back at his seat as soon as that was done. Then, he joined him at the table and took a sip of warm water. "Max called," Jared said. "Martin only sustained some minor burns on his hand. He'll be fine after a few days of rest." "Okay." Nicole nodded, finally at peace. "Let him catch some rest for a few days then." Instead of responding to that, Jared, with eyes betraying his longing and affection, said, "Just stay here tonight. You should get some good rest too." His invitation to Nicole was hard for her to refuse out of courtesy, but the moment she thought of Mrs. Wallace Sr., she shook her head. "I've been away for so long. Grandma must have missed me. I'd like to go home tonight." Noticing that Nicole was more concerned about Mrs. Wallace Sr. than himself, Jared began to sulk. "What about me? You've been away for so long, and I've missed you very much too." With that last line spoken, Jared stood up, moved forward, and pinned her to the chair, his nose close to hers and his breath on the verge of caressing her cheeks. Nicole felt a sense of tension within her at once. "Every time this guy comes close to me, my heart races." Unable to withstand it anymore, she placed her hands on his shoulders and lightly pushed him away. "Fine, I'll just bring you along. Is that okay? Since he enjoys sticking with me, I'll just let him tag along," she thought. Jared was a little annoyed, but the decision made him feel better anyway. Lowering his head, he gave her a peck on the cheek. "Fine. Consider this the interest. As for the principal, I'll collect it some other day." With her cheeks turning bright red, she responded by teasing, "You're such a jerk." Jared flashed her a smirk and stood up. "You should change. I'll send you home later." Nicole stared at his back as he walked out. Then, she breathed a sigh of relief and quickly got up to change, and when once she had gone downstairs, she noticed that Jared was already waiting for her in the car. As Nicole got in the car, she saw that Jared had just hung up. "Why? Did you manage to find any clues?" Jared shot her a glance. Then, he ignited the engine while saying, "Yeah, I've discovered something about the cause of the fire. Although the power supply unit was in flames, there were no signs of arson. I've asked my men to thoroughly inspect the units before this. They were all in good condition before the accident occurred." Nicole's brows began to tighten. If this accident was deliberately planned and executed by someone, there is no doubt that this person must be an expert. He left no traces behind at all. Keep investigating then. If someone had done it, they must have left a trail for us to find. Even the devil can't hide his cloven hoof, Nicole said, certain that the perpetrator would be discovered eventually. You're right, Jared affirmed. Anyway, you should think about what you'd like to eat for dinner. I'll ask Claus to prepare them. Nicole could tell that Jared wanted to arrange a scrumptious meal for Mrs. Wallace Sr., but she shook her head. Grandma is pretty much used to simple things now. If you're going to give her something decadent, she'd feel uncomfortable. I think a few simple dishes for dinner will do. All right. Jared drove them to the Sea View Villa without objections, and before they knew it, they had arrived. To her surprise, Tia and Mrs. Wallace Sr. had been waiting for them at the door. Shocked, she turned toward Jared. Did you inform them? What do you think? Jared smiled. Then, he got down from the car and opened the door for Nicole. Nicole had no choice but to get out of the car. Then, she watched as Tia approached her with Mrs. Wallace Sr. in her arms. Grandma, it's very cold out here, and yet here you are. Nicole looked at Mrs. Wallace Sr. worried. You silly girl. You haven't been back for days. Of course, I'd come out and welcome you home. Come on in, food is ready. Mrs. Wallace Sr. tugged at Nicole and they all went in. Jared laughed. Mrs. Wallace Sr., are you going to leave me outside? It was only then did Mrs. Wallace Sr. remembered that Jared was here too. She quickly spun around and smiled at him. That wouldn't be nice, would it? Come on in. Jared and Nicole had been together for quite a while, and as such, Mrs. Wallace Sr. did not treat him as an outsider anymore. Tia flashed him a grin and said, Brother-in-law, why are you acting like you're an outsider? Come in. Nicole rolled her eyes at Tia. I see you're already getting chummy with him. Hee hee. Tia shot Nicole a playful glance and closed the door. Then, Nicole brought her grandmother to the dining table and sat her down. "Grandma, be careful. Okay, gather around here and sit down, everyone," Mrs. Wallace Sr. said as she looked at all of them. "I'm sure all of you are hungry, so let's eat." Mrs. Wallace Sr. Then, she picked Nicole's favorite dish up and served it to her. "Nicole, you've gotten really skinny ever since you were away from home. Here's your favorite dish. Do have more." Mrs. Wallace Sr. looked at Nicole lovingly. After having not seen Nicole for half a month, Mrs. Wallace Sr. felt that her granddaughter seemed emaciated. "Thank you, Grandma, you're the best." Nicole happily ate the food which Mrs. Wallace Sr. had served her. "This is the best food I have ever eaten. Every single bite is filled with a taste of Grandma's love. Jared, have some too. Don't be shy." Mrs. Wallace Sr. noticed that Jared had not touched his utensils, so she extended him a warm invitation. "Nicole, you know what Jared likes to eat. Serve him some food," Mrs. Wallace Sr. ordered. "It's fine, Grandma. He knows how to get what he wants from the table," Nicole said and continued eating. "Why are you acting like this? Jared is our guest, and you should be serving him." Mrs. Wallace Sr. glared at Nicole with a look of disapproval. "Fine, I'll do it." Jared looked at Nicole and the corner of his lips lifted into a smile. "What would you like to eat?" Nicole turned to Jared and asked. "I'd like to eat anything that you like." Nicole rolled her eyes. He's being cheeky again. Tia watched them from the side and let out a muffled chuckle. Nicole noticed Tia chuckling from her periphery, whereupon she turned her gaze on Tia and said, "Stop laughing and eat up." "Okay." Tia immediately lowered her head and quietly ate her food. After they were done with dinner, Nicole helped Mrs. Wallace Sr. to the couch. Then, Mrs. Wallace Sr. looked at her and said, "Nicole, are you always tired when you're away from home? You don't seem well." Jared eyed Nicole, and that was when he realized that there was something wrong with her complexion. "Why do you look so pale?" Jared looked at Nicole, concerned. "Really? I don't really feel any sort of discomfort anywhere," she replied. "Perhaps I was just rushing during my journey home. Grandma, I'm fine. I'll be better after I take a rest." Nicole turned to her grandmother, not want Mrs. Wallace S.R.to worry about her. She really did not feel weak or uncomfortable at all. Seeing that Nicole was taking her own condition lightly, Jared became annoyed. "You're already looking this sick and yet you insist that you're fine? Are you waiting for the day when you collapse to finally acknowledge that you're sick? You should head upstairs and get some rest," Jared advised. Nicole looked at Jared. "I haven't really spoken to Grandma yet, so why is he asking me to take a rest already?" "It's fine. I'd like to stay here and have a little chat with Grandma for a while. If you want to catch some rest, you can do so on your own." Nicole finished and turned to Mrs. Wallace Sr. Jared knew that Nicole would not listen to him anymore, so he turned to Mrs. Wallace Sr. "Grandma, look at her being all stubborn even with the way she looks. Please tell her off." Nicole. "Grandma, I know my body well, so you need not worry about me. I'll be staying here with you for a while. After that, I'll head upstairs to get some sleep," Nicole said, taking the initiative to stop Mrs. Wallace Sr. from persuading her. Seeing this, Jared could not help but issue a sigh and stare at Nicole. "All right then. Anyway, what brought you home so suddenly?" Mrs. Wallace Sr. asked, clueless about the fire at Martin's factory. "Oh, we're on a 2-day break and I thought you haven't seen me in a while. Because of this, I felt that I should come back and pay you a visit, so you wouldn't be worrying about me." Nicole did not tell her the truth. After all, it would only make Mrs. Wallace Sr. anxious, and that would not be necessary. Jared felt relieved when he saw Nicole withholding the truth from the old lady because he did not want Mrs. Wallace Sr. to worry about it as well. "You're a lovely granddaughter." Mrs. Wallace Sr. smiled with a look of gratitude on her face. "Nicole, you've been engaged to Jared for a while now. Shouldn't the both of you pick a date and get married already?" Mrs. Wallace Sr. asked, throwing the million-dollar question at them. Nicole's flushed a bright shade of red at once, as she never thought that Mrs. Wallace Sr. would raise a question about this matter. Concurrently, Jared was also stunned, but he soon realized that it would be a good thing for him. Grandma's right, we should really start thinking about this. Jared smiled and gave Nicole a look of delight. How did I forget about something so important? Thankfully, her grandma raised the question, or else, it would still be sitting at the back of my mind. What is there to think about? Quit screwing around. Nicole warned as she turned around to look at him reproachfully. How is this a joke? That was Grandma's idea. Jared said, using Mrs. Wallace Sr. as a shield with which to deflect her comebacks. You. She fumed. Forget it. I'm not going to argue with him. In the end of the day, he won't be the only one to determine if we get married or not. Nicole turned around, smiled at Mrs. Wallace Sr. and explained, Grandma, we're all busy now. We're not in a hurry to get married yet. How could you not be in a hurry? If you're not in a hurry, I am. There will always be an endless bout of work for you to get busy with. With my old age, and if the both of you don't get married soon, I'm not sure if I'll get to witness your marriage. Mrs. Wallace Sr. seethed as she looked at Nicole. She had been waiting for that day to come, the day when Nicole could get married and find a forever home with the man she loved. That was Mrs. Wallace Sr.'s biggest dream. Of course you will. With the fact that you're in such good health, I'm sure you can see us getting married, Nicole said, saddened by Mrs. Wallace Sr. Looking at Mrs. Wallace Sr.'s head of white hair, she thought, Grandma's worry is valid. Nicole hugged Mrs. Wallace Sr. as her eyes reddened. Grandma, you must take good care of yourself. You have to be there during the day of my wedding in the foreseeable future. Mrs. Wallace Sr. patted Nicole's back and comforted her. She knew that her words must have worried Nicole. I've always been healthy, and I'm sure I'll be able to attend your wedding. I'm just a little worried for the both of you. Don't worry. Once we're done with much of our work, we'll get ready for the wedding. When that day comes, you must dress up well, attend the ceremony, and be our witness. Nicole mustered out a smile and looked at Mrs. Wallace Sr. All right, when the time comes, this old lady will be your witness. Mrs. Wallace Sr. could tell that Nicole's eyes were brimming with tears, and that made her feel a little uncomfortable. As Jared watched them embrace one another, he felt both a mix of happiness and sadness. Grandma is indeed getting old. Now go upstairs and get some rest. Mrs. Wallace Sr. looked at Nicole affectionately. Okay, I'll accompany you back to your room first, Nicole said as she helped Mrs. Wallace Sr. up. Mrs. Wallace Sr. looked at Jared, who was sitting on the couch at the side, and said, Jared, it's already late. If you don't have other important things to take care of, you can stay here for the night. Oh, all right, he uttered. Initially, Jared was planning to head back home in a while, and as such, it surprised him when Mrs. Wallace Sr. asked him to stay. I'm off to bed now, Mrs. Wallace Sr. said, after which she made her way to her room with Nicole's help. After Nicole had brought Mrs. Wallace Sr. back to her room, she came back to the living room to find Jared waiting for her on the couch. What are you still doing here? Nicole looked at Jared with her brows furrowed. Didn't he say that he'll just be sending me home? In that case, he should be heading back to his home now, not sitting down here. Didn't you hear what Grandma had just said? Jared proudly said and looked at Nicole. Now that he had the support of Mrs. Wallace Sr., no one could chase him out of the house, as long as he wished to stay. You actually took her words seriously? Nicole laughed and looked at him in disbelief. Of course. She was just being polite. Can't you see that? Nicole asked him with a look of disbelief. From what I've heard, that doesn't seem to be the case. It seemed that she was sincere about having me here, he said. To respect Grandma's wish, I've decided to stay. Jared did not seem like he was joking at all. While he was sitting alone in the living room, he had thought it through. You're really staying? Nicole took a seat beside Jared, and it was obvious that she found it hard to believe. Yes, let's head upstairs and get some sleep. Jared glanced at the time, and was about to grab Nicole by the arm when she narrowly escaped his grasp. Fine, I'll go up by myself, Jared said, knowing that as soon as he went upstairs, Nicole would come looking for him. Jared headed upstairs right away as Nicole continued staring at him from the back. "Hey, are you really heading upstairs?" Jared did not respond to her question and continued making his way up. Unable to sit still anymore, Nicole quickly got up and walked to her room. By the time she had reached the upper floor, Jared was taking his shirt off, and just as Nicole entered the room, she saw his shirtless figure and asked, "Why didn't you close the door if you're going to change?" "I did close it. You're the one who pushed it open and came in, all right?" Jared casually placed his jacket on the chair. Nicole rolled her eyes and walked in. Then, she stared at him and said, "This is my room. The guest room is situated directly across." Jared shot her a frown. He moved forward, approaching Nicole, and pinned her to the wall. "Are you expecting me to stay in the guest room?" "Yeah, you're our guest. If you're not going to sleep in that room, don't even think of spending the night in this one." She stared right into his eyes as she made the remark, unfazed by what he was doing. "You know, I wonder, who was the one talking about our marriage with Grandma back in the living room? And yet here you are, referring to me as a guest. Were you just trying to put on a show in front of Grandma?" Jared looked into her eyes and questioned.
If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.